Hail Internet, it's Amber, it's Matt. Paul is on special assignment. Well, whatever, he'll be back next week. But we are here to talk about Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. All right, Amber, before we launch into specifics, your general thoughts about Beyond the Wall.
It was a good episode. It bridged gaps to get us closer to, like, it answered things that needs to be answered so we can get to the end.
Agreed.
End of this season. So it did a good job. I don't have any questions, like, dangling like you usually do around this time of Game of Thrones, so.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's very action-packed. It definitely pushed things forward. I've got a few, maybe some issues with it, but generally speaking, I was entertained. Mm-hmm. Like, watching it, I was like, whee! I would say, so, one thing it reminded me, and this isn't really a criticism, it's just what I noticed. It didn't feel so much like a Game of Thrones episode as it did like one of my old Dungeons and Dragons modules from back when I was like a teenager. You know, like every Dungeons and Dragons module, not everyone. I'm over-exaggerating here, but for the most part, Dungeons and Dragons modules are, hey, send this group of folks, each with their own cool weapon, off on a quest. And they, you know, so it's the Wizard's Tower, or the Haunted Oasis, or in this case, Beyond the Wall to go to the Night King. And there has to be travel. You have to go along the way. You got to encounter a random monster, like a undead polar bear. You kill off one of the lesser non-player characters. You pad the group with folks that you can kill off so that it seems cool, but the main guys don't really die. Then you finally get to like, oh, kill. You know, you got to take out the bad guys' minions, and you had the big boss fight, and then. If it looks like from the Dungeon Master's point of view, if you set the stakes a little too high or put the opponent a little too high, you have to come up with the last second rescue. They're like, oh crap, oh these guys are gonna die. What do I? Dragons! And then you get dragons and you save them at the end, and then everybody eats a lot of Doritos, drinks a 2-liter of Mountain Dew, and you go home happy.
Count your teeth as they fall out.
Right. You got to roll a 20. This would be the TSR module Blizzard Pass. Or maybe keep on the Borderlands. All right, anyway. So my point being in that it was fun to watch. I enjoyed playing those games where I wouldn't have kept doing them. But it did feel a little un-Game of Thrones-y to me. Like it wasn't... you know, the Game of Thrones is like these houses vying for positions. And I mean, as much as I wasn't necessarily crazy about what happened at Winterfell, that at least felt more Game of Thrones-y.
I know what you're saying. But I liked it because it wasn't typical Game of... We needed an episode to... why I like it is that it was getting us to the next the final episode. We didn't need to see the Lannisters. We didn't need to see Cersei and Jaime and talking about their creepy love child and how she trapped
Sam and whatever.
And Sam on his very long journey with Gilly and
the one guy I would
explaining Gilly again or anything like that. We didn't need that to happen. Not a fan of Sam mansplaining Gilly.
He mansplained Gilly big time and missed out on perhaps the most important piece of information in the story.
And if they continue to do that to me, I'm going to start throwing things at my TV, and that's not good.
Then you can't watch the TV.
Yeah, then I can't watch the TV.
That'd be bad. All right, so the one character that I think could have really helped the storyline in this episode and probably was missed, in my opinion, is Bran. So I feel like Bran could have filled in some of these gaps. Like, we know Bran had been spying on the Night King with his ravens, like from the last episode, right? He knows what's going on. He sends the thing out to Jon going, hey, you guys, Night King's going to Eastwatch. Seems like they could have maybe used his abilities, maybe instead of, like, for instance, having Gendry run all over the place. They could have found a way to, if he is indeed involved in this whole thing, that maybe... He's being underutilized.
The future or just the past?
Well, I think he can at least see what's going on in the present.
He can see the present. That's what I I was trying to figure out.
I
couldn't remember if it's Bran can see into the future or just the past and the present.
I think there's been... I was wondering the same thing a couple episodes ago. He mentioned something, and I got the opinion that maybe he was seeing the future. For instance, I mean, we don't know this for a fact, but when he gives the dagger to Arya... There's some thought that maybe he sees the future, that she's going to need it.
That's what I couldn't figure out. And if Bran can't see into the future in the show, then there's no... I mean, he couldn't have helped Jon in any way. Like, he wouldn't have known what was going to happen. Hey, if you go out with 20 wildlings, only 2 of them are going to return. Because they don't really care for the wildlings at all in this show.
They are the red shirts. They are the Star Trek red shirts.
What's his face? Lawrence, who bid it, but...
Especially if they don't have a name.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have it, if you're just wildling number 2, and you're like, I'm on point. I'm gonna. You're gone.
Yeah, there's no screen time whatsoever. You're dead. You're gonna die. So replace yourself with a mannequin.
I just feel like, I guess generally speaking, Bran's powers are being way underutilized by the people in the show. Like, it seems like people know his powers now, and yet they're not trying to exploit them.
John doesn't know his powers yet.
Well, he kind of does, right? Because it was a little odd, but in last episode, where he reads the scroll, and he's like, Bran has seen the Night King approaching the Eastwatch. Like John just bought it quick. Like, oh, I read this note, and obviously Bran can see things, and I'm buying it.
Everybody around him. Yeah.
So John believes that he has those powers, or some powers, and obviously Sansa and Arya know he's got powers, and the fact that Sansa and Arya are questioning, like, I wonder what Littlefinger's up to. Maybe you could ask Bran. I don't know.
No, anyway. That I agree. Yeah, the whole Sansa Arya. I don't know if you want to jump in.
Let's jump into Sansa and Arya, because that's kind of like the other plot line, and then we'll spend time on the battle.
Okay. I was hoping that the whole thing was a ploy between the two of them to trap Littlefinger.
Agreed.
I kept waiting and thinking, no, you can't. I'm finally starting to tolerate Sansa. Don't do this to me.
Because they are, if that is still the case, they are really like getting into their roles.
Yeah.
Even when the doors close and no one's around, they're still
holding
I'm in my character.
Just in case somebody is around.
Yeah.
No, but that's not it. Sansa is still the weakest character on the show. I don't like her character.
She does happen to
never learn.
She does happen to be the one of the 4 siblings who doesn't have like some kind of supernatural abilities.
But she doesn't want them.
Right, but I'm just saying, like John came back from the dead, Bran can see everything.
Dresses, and she wanted to be the queen or be married to a lord or something like that.
I do think
these are her aspirations in life, and no matter what happens to her, nothing is going to force her to grow up and start trusting family at the very least.
I do think that the trajectory of the show is that she will be at the end game next season, she will be the Lady of Winterfell. I think she will be the ultimate ruler, basically. But yeah, I will say this though: Arya was a jerk.
She was
like she. I mean, just imagine the situation of like Sansa is crying with fear that Arya is about to kill her,
about to cut her face off.
I mean, just to do that to your sibling, that's not
cool.
That's not cool.
No, I mean, it makes for awkward Thanksgiving.
You could, definitely. But I mean, like, she could be angry at her without, you know what, I'm going to insinuate that I'm going to cut your face off. And then, I mean, and say it in such a way that Sansa obviously believes it. In that moment, Sansa's like, I have 100 men who are loyal to me.
All I have to do is scream help and they'll come running.
Yeah, I mean, so she was terrified in that moment, which, just to make your sibling terrified like that.
But see, I kind of thought the way Arya handled it, maybe she had a secret conversation with Bran, and she knows more information, more things that happened than Sansa has told them, and maybe that is going into her anger.
Maybe.
Because she went hardcore angry at Sansa before even, like, having a chance to ask her about it. So it just felt like she knew something more than what was in that scroll. She
did have reason to be angry in that she caught Sansa trying to find the note, right? That's what Sansa was in there to try to find the note. So it's like, look, you're rifling through my stuff. You don't trust me. You know, that's a legit, hey, screw you for starting to steal my stuff, not trust me. But to carry, I would say the fact that she hands the knight, she flips the hilt side and hands it to Sansa, I think is her way of saying, I could do these horrible things to you, but I'm not.
I think it meant watch your back.
Do you think it meant watch your back? Because I think giving her the dagger was like, I'm not going to kill you. Like this, your family, I'm not killing you. I have a reason to be angry at you, but we're family.
Yeah, maybe, but
like I give you the power.
Arya has gone through so much, and I know Sansa has too. But Arya's path has been so violent in all of her training, and
She's not a well-adjusted person.
She's not a well-adjusted person, and
Social.
she's been alone for so long. Like,
Yeah.
everybody else has had someone with them. Like, Sansa was married to Tyrion, and he helped to protect her. Then Littlefinger took over, and then she had that horrible little bit, that god-awful bit.
Yeah.
But then Jon showed up, and Jon's protecting her. And so Sansa's always had somebody to some degree protecting her, and Arya has been on her own, living like a wild person.
Is there a creepier good person on the show than Arya?
A creepier good person?
In other words, somebody who you're like, they're on the right side, but they're creepy. I kind of feel like Arya kind of takes the cake for like creepiest person that's on the right. Yeah, okay, good point.
Yeah, no,
he's on the right side, and he's a robot.
Side, and I'm still going with my cult leader thing.
Yeah,
like,
so it's the Starks
in
general.
Once this is done, he's going to start collecting followers, and they're going to wear weird clothing.
Okay, so the most, I guess, the one annoying part of the Arya Sansa debate is the fact that I felt like, because I think even Sansa asks, where did you get this note? And then doesn't bring it back up when Arya kind of deflects the question. But like, all Arya really has to do is say, I found this in Littlefinger's bedroom. He said he was taking it on your behalf, and then he hid it in his room. Like, that information, because when Sansa talks to Littlefinger, and Littlefinger's like, I don't know where she got it.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is like, okay, that's the bad guy.
Away after the conversation with Littlefinger either.
My thought, because I didn't get it at first. My thought is, if you remember back to the episode where Arya fights with Brienne, and there's the thing about Brienne's comments, and they're being watched by Sansa. She's like, "Don't go where your enemy leads you." Blah 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 blah. There's some kind of like she's talking about, and I think maybe this is Sansa trying to avoid going where Littlefinger was leading her. So Littlefinger says, hey, if you're having a problem with Arya, you know who can intercede on your behalf? Brienne. I'm thinking maybe she's like, if Littlefinger wants me to use Brienne, either he knows something I don't about Brienne, or he's trying to funnel me into Brienne. I'm going to I'm going to move her out of the board so Littlefinger's plan doesn't work.
That's just a stupid plan.
Which probably Littlefinger maybe even set that up deliberately to get Brienne out of the picture. Maybe.
I don't understand. I need more explanation of why Brienne sending her was the answer.
Yeah, because obviously Brienne is definitely on the good side.
It's like they needed to just throw something in there so then we could have a story for next week with Brienne.
Right, because Brienne's going to be at the Dragon Pit or whatever, yeah.
And at the, I don't know what to call
it. The white reveal.
Yeah. I didn't get that.
Yeah, it seemed odd. And that's the only explanation I could come up with was maybe it's because Littlefinger wanted it must be bad, so let me get rid of Brienne.
I mean, he was suggesting that she asked Brienne to kill Arya.
Do you think he was to kill her?
Yeah, I think he was suggesting that Brienne has declared herself for House Stark and to protect the Stark children. And if Arya was to go after Sansa, Brienne would be there to defend her, which is why I couldn't understand why
maybe she thinks vice versa. That
idea to send her away.
She'd also defend Arya, so maybe Sansa wants somebody to fight.
Arya does not need defending.
She doesn't.
Sansa needs defending. Sansa needs somebody to iron her clothes for her and make her coffee in the morning and tell her she's pretty as soon as she wakes up.
This is the anti-Sansa camp.
She's the weakest female character on the show, and it drives me nuts because every female character on the show is tough as nails. They will go toe-to-toe with a man. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying that Sansa deserved anything that happened to her. Nothing like that. I'm saying that all the horrible things that have happened to her, and I keep thinking she's going to grow up, she's going to get tougher, she's going to get stronger, but no, she's just getting nasty.
Now, I do think it's hard to imagine, based on where they left off with Arya and Sansa in this episode, it's hard to imagine them reconciling within another one episode. But I do think that's what's going to happen. I feel like by the end of the season, next episode, Littlefinger will be dead. I think Arya's going to kill him. And I think Sansa and Arya are going to have a little like, hey, you're not so bad moment.
Now I'm just kind of having a flash because, no, you need to kill somebody to get their face. Never mind. Maybe it was Arya who was sitting there as Sansa.
Oh, yeah, probably not. I don't think so. I don't think they're going that way. I don't see Arya killing Sansa. I don't.
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately, no.
She drives me nuts.
Okay. For many of the seasons, she was not a particularly likable character. I do feel like they have at least what they've implied is that being under Littlefinger's tutelage and that she has become kind of a better organizer than the typical Stark leader.
She probably has, but I think she likes the praise more than the end game, and so like you believe that she's going to end up being the Lady of Winterfell, and that's going to be how her prize in this game, and that's all she wants. And she was easy. I agree with Arya. She should have stood up when all the other lords were like, we should have elected you or whatever. She should have stood up and said, no, you elected Jon. He is our leader. What's
going to happen though now that Jon's bent the knee? We'll skip to the end of this thing, but like, I don't think Sansa or many of the lords are going to appreciate that moment.
No, but I think they're also going to appreciate it less when they're being torn apart by White Walkers.
Yeah. Good point. So that's good. Any other thoughts on the Arya Sansa thing?
Sansa can go on a long trip, and I'd be fine never seeing her again.
I did enjoy the story that Arya told about father watching her shoot the arrows, and then like nice. He would clap for her, and so like she wasn't the problem. The rules were the problem.
I like that line.
Yeah, I thought that was a good. Like it kind of hits Arya. Like that fits her character.
The whole changing the rules to fit you, not you changing for the rules kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that was cool.
That story, and then
the other thing we had besides over the wall was Dany talking to Tyrion at Dragonstone.
Yeah, and she needs to relax and stop attacking Tyrion. I'm getting tired of
She got very defensive.
Taking off all of her aggression out on him. Because he's telling her the truth like he's supposed to be as the hand of the queen.
When she says something like, name the times that I overreacted or something like that. They're like, uh-oh.
Really? Exhibit A right now.
Well, yeah.
Exhibit B 2 minutes ago when I asked if how'd you want your tea. She just snaps at him all the time, and I'm getting tired of it because, you know what? Yes, he's made some bad calls, but she's made some bad calls.
There have been a lot of bad calls to go around.
Yeah.
This season in particular.
Yeah.
So there's a talk. Like the idea of the succession is an interesting point for later.
I never thought about it.
She talks about not being able to have kids. Tyrion's like, well, we need to think about, do we want to do elections? That's kind of what he says, right? Because he's like, the Night Watch has a way. I mean, I think they're kind of pushing at the idea of like, we could have a democracy. I don't know. And she's like, we're not talking about this till I get the crown.
Yeah.
But then it comes up again later.
It's a childish response. It's a very childish response. Like, it showed her age when she says things like that. It shows her age, and it shows she's not fully equipped yet to sit on the Iron
If you were thinking more short term, maybe we wouldn't have lost Highgarden and Dorne.
And then she snapped her finger and walked out the room while she flipped her hair. It's a very 15-year-old girl sort of response. Think about my death often? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Right now I do.
Yes. But interesting if you put that in context with Jorah and Jon's very cool discussion when Jon tries to give him the sword. Like, hey, this is your dad's sword. I'm not his son. You are. Yeah. He's like, no, take it back. I hope it serves you well and your kids or your children, your kids. I don't think he said, and your kids. Yeah. Little Billy.
Your little kiddo.
Whatever. Yeah. But basically, there's another insinuation that there's going to be kids.
Yeah, another step moving us forward.
Yeah, like, she can't have kids, but can she have kids? Maybe she can.
Your cousin, nephew?
Yeah, nephew.
It's just nephew, yeah. I was doing the family lines in my head last night during the show, and so if they had children, it would be her nephew, cousins. Son.
Son. You had the son in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's too hard to follow.
I did like at the end there John's lying on the bed and she's holding his hand and then he calls her Dany and she goes, who was the last person to call me Dany? Oh, my brother. I'm like, /nephew.
It's a lot of, hey, the killer's behind the door. sort of comments. They're all so close.
Also, Dondarrion goes, well, you don't look a thing like your dad. You're like, no,
But you kind of got the complexion of someone I used to know. It's too many of those, and it's like this next episode has got to be the end of the innuendos of, I gotta talk to John. You don't look like your dad.
I don't, man.
My brother used to call me.
I wonder. I don't
Like
think they're going to wrap it up.
Like last scene of...
It would be a fitting last scene for sure.
John, you're a Targaryen.
Right. Or, yeah. I seems like they got to go through some hurdles, though, to get there, right? I mean, I guess it would be Sam going. Sam figures it out through Bran, because he's got the paperwork. And then between Bran and Sam, they're like, John, you're a Targaryen. And that would make him believe it.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. It's going to be Sam now, because I don't know what's going to happen when Sam meets Dany. And she just killed his brother and father.
Well, true, but he's going to Winterfell, I think.
Right, and I think they're all going to Winterfell, so they're all not going to be together. I think Bran's going to be the one who does the big reveal, and then Sam might come along and confirm it, but I think it's Bran who's going to be the one who breaks the news to Jon that he's not a bastard, but a Targaryen.
And the Targaryen.
Who's been flirting with his aunt.
Right. Mm-hmm. Big time.
Creepy.
They're heading for an intimate relationship.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming. So, which is why I think they'll probably have sex before they find out,
God.
Is my thought. And then they'll be like, what?
One thing I've enjoyed this season is the lack of
I
sexual
agree.
intercourse.
I agree.
Sometimes the scenes get to be way too much,
Yeah.
and it's
It felt
unnecessary. and it
like a fanfic or something.
Yeah, I'd rather have more stories of actual things and previous battles and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Anyways, okay.
All right, so now we're north of the wall. Okay, so
And it looks really cold.
it did look cool. The shots are beautiful.
Yeah.
So this was Iceland. Obviously, there's some CG in there, but most of the stuff was like scenery. It was like a travel log for Iceland.
Yeah.
And boy, it looked gorgeous and cold.
Yeah,
and very
really
cold.
cold.
Very cold.
Poor Gendry.
Yes. So Gendry's complaining because he's from the south, and he's like, "Oh, this is horrible." And he. So yeah, they have these various little conversations. You have Tormund talks to the Hound.
God, I love Tormund.
I
love him.
Comic relief. He kind of taunts him about the fire on his face. And,
Kissed by fire.
yeah, just like your face. Gets it on it. And they obviously come to like a grudging respect at the end. They have a little nod to each other, like, we survived.
Yeah.
Good
luck with Bran.
Yeah. Right. The Brienne thing was kind of interesting. So I was like, oh, that looked like she wants to gut your liver. You have seen her. You do know Brienne. So that was cool. There's a kind of a quick reconciliation between Gendry and the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like, you guys were jerks. Here, drink some wine. Great.
Yeah.
We're fine.
You got to get over it now.
You're whinging.
At this point, you cannot sit there and whinge on about anything because, look where we are and look what we're about to do. So suck it up, move on.
Suck it up.
Be a grown-up.
Yeah. So they then, find the offshoot of a White Walker with his whites. Mm-hmm. We learn very important information, which kind of goes against a little theory I had that I threw back in a few episodes ago, where I was like, well, maybe at the end game, Jon has to become the Night King to lead the zombies back north, and then he sacrifices himself to lead. But now we know that's not necessary. You just
off the head and
kill the dude, and
dies.
Which. It's expedient, but it is one of those things. It's a trope that shows up in a lot of those action movies. Just beat the one thing and everything dies.
Now we know how they're made. Like, you make your own little creepy White Walker group. So you become one, and then you start collecting some, and then they collect some, and it explains how the army grows so massively.
Right. So White Walkers have the ability to raise a certain number themselves, but it seems like the Night King has the overall power, perhaps.
Yeah.
So at the very least, if you kill the Night King, most of the army is going to die, just immediately collapse and turn to dust. So that's your battle strategy. Hit the big guys.
Look for the guy that says captain on his shirt.
Right.
Which is
interesting. They capture the white successfully. Then obviously bad things happen. But, then Jorah has a reasonable idea. He talks to Jon about, look, we know if we hit the White Walkers, so what we should do is target the White Walkers to try to, maybe we can thin the herd. And Jon's like, no, we need to keep this white around, so no.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, let's all just die horribly because we want this one white. We can't get another one. There's no way. This is the one we have to do.
I've grown fond of this one.
This one.
Yes.
I think it was a perfectly legit idea that he just like, nope. Shut up.
John is stubborn when it comes to things like that, but he's been that way for a few years now. Like, it's his plan or no plan.
Well, he also does a thing that Daenerys compliments Tyrion about. When she starts that conversation with Tyrion, she's like, you're no hero. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, thanks. He's like, he tries, well, I was at the Mudgate. She's like, yeah, no, I mean that in a good way. Because all these other people, like John, have to go off and be stupid.
Oh, my lovers.
Yeah. Have to go off and be dumb and prove, that they're dumb, basically. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of... John does exactly what she's just talking about.
John's constantly going off and just being dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
couldn't get on the dragon.
Nope. Bastards. Hey, I'm going to be the only one to run out even though I got an army of 2,000 behind me and just stand in the middle of the field while 10,000 come charging at me. But that's okay. Everything will work out. Like, everything works out too often for John.
And in fact, good reference to the Battle of the Bastards. That moment when he's the famous... awesome iconic image of him standing with the sword while the horses are coming. He does that exact same thing. Mm-hmm. It's a callback to it for sure.
Oh yeah.
At the end when they're like all hope is lost, here come the zombies up on the island, he does this. Yeah. Dragons. It's like all he has to do is do this basically. And some plot armor is about to show up.
I'm in need of assistance.
And then they brought Benjen in as plot armor later.
That made me sad.
Yeah.
We'll get to the big stuff in a moment, but the Uncle Benjen, like showing his face off, like
he could have gotten on that horse.
I guess he couldn't get past
the wall,
and he didn't want to lead.
I think he was maybe ready to die.
I think he was ready to die. It doesn't seem like much fun to live that way. And if he would have gotten on the horse, I felt like it was buying them more time before the walkers get to the wall. Yeah. It was so he distracted them because when they didn't realize. At one point, some of them started walking away or something.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
Like they're easily distracted, and so I think.
So it's a good point. I thought the whites were just zombies. Okay, right. Until this episode, I thought the whites were just like controllable things. They were like automatons. Mm-hmm. I see man flesh. Blah blah blah. Okay, we saw some autonomous functions like they had in this episode. Like they seem to...
Yeah, when we get to the big death, the scene at the end.
There's
okay, so let's get to the big death.
Sure, big death.
We can discuss more of the whites. So we lost a dragon.
And that was obviously Thoros got taken out by the bear and died eventually. The Viserion death was the most impactful death. I mean, even Benjen's death wasn't, I think, as impactful as
I wanted to cry when that dragon fell, and
you can see the horror on Dany's face and Tormund's face. I remember Tormund's
face. It's like all of a sudden you see a little puppy dog falling down. Yeah. They just when they lose it's this giant beast who has this magnificent power, and all of a sudden he's brought down by a white icicle.
Yeah.
I need an explanation of what the white icicle is, but
it was unfortunate
that his wand. They don't have wands in this world.
Right. That it took just one thing to bring it down. Like it seemed it diminished the credibility of the dragons a lot to say like a guy throwing a thing. Now, I'm sure you could say it's magical and blah 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 blah, but. It just felt it was too easy.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, one got impaled by the giant spike and he fell down. But it's something about whatever that wand thing is that he threw that's got some hella magic in it.
I would say it looked like,
and it explains how we got giant walkers.
Right.
Because I need an explanation.
The giant walkers and the bear, obviously.
Yes.
But it looked like the implication was. He got hit in the throat as he was about to breathe fire. And so what happens is he's like going, bruh, and then you see the fire come out of the side of his neck. So I think maybe his own weapon like was used against him. Inside, like it blew up his innards. Maybe. I don't know.
Poor baby.
It was a sad moment. Yeah. It was, and of course then he gets brought back. So now the Night King's got his mount.
I kind of like how he got brought back where they... So... They're all get chains and
we're not sure where the chains
attach
came
them
from,
to
but
the dragon.
Hardhome, we'll just say
Right.
Hardhome.
They're
It's
just
a port
carrying-
town. They have chains.
They've got supplies. They got wagon trains. They got all that stuff.
Who went down in the water to connect it?
I don't know, but some of them, like, they talk to each other and they're like, so hey, I need teams of 8 guys, 8 teams of 8 guys, take this chain, go down in the water, wrap it around the dragon, and then drag them back up.
It's like, for instance, so, you know,
Weird to know they can plan.
They can plan, and in water, it seemed like water was a deal breaker,
Right.
but I don't think it is. Like, they were actually, like, for instance, when Tormund, and actually they sold me for a few seconds that Tormund was about to die.
Yes.
And he didn't. So kudos to the show for making me think, that dude's dead. He wasn't. But he's getting hit as he's being underwhelmed. Like, some zombies come out of the water and grab his legs, and they're pulling him into the water. So they're functional in the water.
Those ones that fell in just wanted to go for a swim for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so it's like
the cold water.
Maybe they're just preternaturally afraid of water. I don't know, but like, it was just it's weird that they're okay in water.
There's it's not like a knowledge of them, of what stops them and what doesn't stop them, because some of them are immune to this, but some are affected by this. It's like fire. Some of them, the whites aren't affected by fire, but all the rest are.
Well, like, so the moment that the Hound kicks the one white, and then like all these whites start responding. Yes. So I'm like, now are they like the Borg from Star Trek, where they're all like one brain connected, or were they actually feeling sympathy for their buddy?
I think it's a battle call. I think it's just, or a battle cry, just like, attack.
And you notice they were all it seemed like a lot of them were trying to get to the white. Like, Jon is on the body, defending the body.
Yeah.
And now that could just be the Night King sending guys at him, because the Night King realizes, save our friend. Like, there's so many of them. Why would he care about Billy? I don't know, but whatever.
They can comprehend.
Yeah. The fact that they didn't, they saw their buddies falling in the water, and so they stop.
Right.
And then, when the water freezes over, it's a little weird that the water froze over that fast, but whatever. That's
really
fine.
Cold there.
It's really cold.
It's really cold north of the wall. Northeast of the wall.
I also, just somewhat joking here, but kind of blame the Hound for the various red shirt deaths that occur after he throws the rocks.
Yeah, he's got to get over the fire.
Well, they got to get over that was true.
He's got to get over the
when he got
fire,
petrified. That's going to happen, right? There's going to be some moment where he has to confront that fear.
If we're going to see the Hound continue to live, he's got to get over the freaking fire and start fighting when there's fire and just accept his death. Why is he afraid to accept his own death? He's like the only character in the show.
I probably am afraid to accept my own death.
But in the Game of Thrones world, where you're having to fight the dead people and dragons and giant polar bears.
I've decided I'm going to die by a giant polar bear. And that's the only way I'm going to die. And
I'm having a Viking funeral.
Okay.
So
all right, good.
That's sad. But it's like everybody else who goes into these battles and prepares, they're ready to die, except for him. He's never ready to die.
Well, but it's a cool flaw of his that's like that they're playing out. Okay, you're over it. But but this was the other flaw was the fact that
because he harms too many other people.
Well, let's in the moment when he starts throwing rocks at the whites. Okay, think about their position. They're surrounded. They're on this island. Their only real hope is that Daenerys is going to show up at that moment. So time is their friend as long as the whites don't move in. Mm-hmm. Like kind of like the whites are where they want them to be at that moment. So why are you antagonizing? You're asking them to kill you as opposed to just let things lie. We've got a dragon on the way. Hopefully, that's our one chance. Instead, he accelerates the attack that then kills a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on his head there. I mean, I don't know.
There was a lot of mistakes made in that.
Here's the other thing.
Battle.
Like, as evidenced by the fact that a couple of whites show up and he takes Gendry's hammer and he breaks the ice and the whites fall in. Why didn't they do that before?
That's what I was thinking. Why didn't they just go out there
break
and
the ice around the island?
And
They had a day.
Yeah, every time the ice freezes over, or the water freezes over again, go out and break some more ice.
Yes.
Pretend you're ice fishing. This is what you need to do.
Totally agree.
There's a lot of holes in the battle. The writers did not do a good job of. Usually with the battles, you watch it and you're like, there's no other way I would have done that.
You start thinking of like excuses, right?
Yeah.
It's like, for instance, why didn't the Night King just use those spears to kill the guys on the island?
Right.
Well, because he was setting a trap and he knew the dragons were going to. I mean, sure, maybe I suppose, but they didn't say that. Like you kind of have to read into it anyway.
Yeah,
so yes, there are things like that.
A lot of holes in
Gendry
the battle.
running the marathon,
And then he collapses 10 yards from the gate. Really?
and then the crow has to fly.
He's
the
the chick
raven.
in a horror movie who runs around in her underwear and then trips on a branch. Like, that's Gendry.
You keep running. God,
He makes it
what's
that far in the freezing cold and collapses 10 yards outside of the gate. Come on.
That would actually have been awesome if it just, that's where it stopped, and then you just see like this little puffy snow lump, like covered with snow, that like that was Gendry, and then like it's like, oh my god, he was so close. It was so
They all would have
tragic.
survived if he would have just held out for 2 more minutes.
To another step.
He was booking it at the end still. He was going pretty
You're
fast.
right, you're
All of
right.
a sudden he just went.
It kind of went boop boop. He went from 60 to 0.
There were too many. They needed to do a better job at some of the.
Daenerys, waiting
minor
then for
details.
Jon to show up, even though she's kind of convinced he's dead. But then that was an interesting scene because it's Jorah with her, and of course Jorah's like, "I love you,
You're my girlfriend."
and then she's like, "Yeah. I'm waiting for Jon to go. Yay, he's back." Like I think Jorah's coming to grips with the fact that maybe.
Yeah. What bothers me about this Dany and Jon thing is that there's too many relationships where people can say things like, "My nephew says I'm the best kisser." It's too. I don't understand why that needs to happen. Like, I get it. There's a lot of sexual tension, and Targaryens are known for sleeping with each other. But I'm going to lose so much respect for Dany and Jon if they find out that they're related and then still pursue.
Right.
It seems so outside of them. They're so un-Targaryen.
Right, it's not like Jon was
but
like
then they're
sleeping
gonna
with
do this
Arya.
Very Targaryen thing.
Or sleeping with Sansa or something.
I hope to God that they don't do that and they just realize, oh, we have such strong feelings because
Right.
we share
And that
blood.
could be. It could be. It's just, boy, they are
need
really
that to
pushing
be.
this idea of succession and having a kid. And you give this sword to your kids.
But that's okay, because if Dany dies and Jon gets married to somebody else and has kids, he's a Targaryen.
Sure.
It would go to his children.
So you think Dany dying is maybe...
I'm hoping...
I feel like... I think Jon is more likely to die than Dany, but I have heard the other side of that.
It could, yeah, if Dany dies after Jon, then that's the end of the reign, and there's another war, and we'll get another 7 seasons of a show. But sometimes I confuse Real World with the TV show. It happens.
It does?
But no, I would hope that they would just continue where Jon marries somebody outside of
Outside of
relation.
his family.
He has children. Those children would be Targaryens because he's no longer a Snow. He's not a bastard. She can be the rightful ruler. I don't see Jon stepping up and wanting to sit on the Iron Throne.
Is there somebody in the show now that would be a candidate to be married to Jon?
No, I think it's going to be some village girl who just from Wintertown. Is that what they call it? I heard that a couple weeks ago. It's one of the Wintertown girls, or Winterfell, or Felltown girls, or something. I can't remember what they refer to it as. I didn't care for it.
All right.
It sounded like a dog way
Sounded
of
like,
saying
yeah.
hooker.
By the way, real quick, I had an idea you're talking about the real world. I've got a cool real world thing, but let me quickly come back around to the plan as it is. Mm-hmm. They've now got a white. They're going to be bringing it to King's Landing. That's the next episode. We see like the whole army shows up outside of King's Landing, and it's like going to be like show of force. This is a pretty stupid idea.
It's a very stupid,
isn't it? I mean, it literally had. I don't think it had any chance of success from the beginning. I mean, okay, yes, there was the improbable chances of catching it. They've done that.
Yeah.
But even more improbable is convincing Cersei to just drop her ideas with one undead creature.
Yeah, and the 3 surviving possible rulers all in one place at the same time trying to negotiate how are we going to handle...
It literally has zero chance of working.
Seriously, does not care what's going on north of the wall.
Yeah.
She
Plus,
has no concern.
Even if she would care, let's say, in the right circumstances, seeing one undead creature... She has an undead creature that stands over her shoulder. Yeah, she's like, so? Qyburn makes those.
Can I keep them?
Yeah, right. I need one. So I don't... One weird anomaly does not equal 100,000 troops coming your way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a massive attack, and Cersei's going to go after them, and they're going to escape on dragons, and that's when we're going to get Riders 2 and 3. Danny and Jon.
You think in this next episode?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I
think that's how they're going to escape.
I think they spent so much time setting this up with this white that they can't then just say, it was stupid. So I have a feeling it's going to be like a temporary truce that Cersei's like, yeah, sure, I'll help. I'm not helping. And so then it'll end with this thing of like the good guys think, well, I guess we got Cersei on our side. But really she's like, I'm just going to betray them the first chance I get. And then that'll be the going into the next season.
Style. But I also think it's a good chance for Jon and everybody to break out the prisoners. To get Theon's sister, whose name I can never remember.
Oh, right.
To get the sand
Yara.
snake. Yeah, to get...
Now, Yara is not being held in King's Landing, though.
But I think that might be an alternate plan while we're meeting with Cersei, try to go after and get Yara. If they decide to do that this episode.
We do see Theon in the trailer.
We do.
And there's that shot, it looks like he's on a shore and he's like...
I think we're going to recreate it when Yara went to go try to rescue him.
I agree.
It's going to be him now trying to rescue her. And so this might be a good distraction to try to break free some of the people so then they can get back Dorne. They can get back the Iron Islands.
Do we think that Theon's going to take out Euron in this episode? Is Euron... Are his days numbered? Doesn't seem likely.
No, he's going to be on for the next season because him and Cersei got to weirdly flirt with each other.
True. Now, so do you
weirdly flirt at Cersei?
So you feel like maybe in the end of this season, like this season, whatever, the last half of the episode, Theon is going to successfully rescue Yara? Or
yeah.
Okay.
That's my hope, is that he goes and he gets her out, and then they get the Sand Snake out. Whose name? I'm bad at names in real life, but I'm bad
there's
at names.
Alaria. It's the mom, I think.
Yes. I think it might be a part of their plan, like they'll have multiple reasons for being willing to go meet with her.
Okay. Yeah, it just convincing Cersei just seems like a horrible idea.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to convince her.
Just like whoop, right, just over the head.
Oh yeah. She's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I'll help you. Come here, give me a kiss."
Exactly. Right. I have lipstick on. It's a new shade.
I like tonguing strangers.
Yeah.
Come here.
Yeah. Okay, real quick on the Real World thing. I was watching the Real World. No, I was watching a documentary about Edinburgh Castle.
Because you got in your time machine and got
I did.
8 miles an hour.
True story. So I mean, it's no mystery that George R. R. Martin did a lot of real world stuff in his fantasy, but I didn't realize exactly. There's a lot of Edinburgh Castle in the show. One thing being, Edinburgh Castle is built on an outcropping of volcanic rock. It's kind of like it's an anomaly in that area, and it's just like, and then it just sits up on this thing. So it's like, like Dragonstone in a way. Plus, it's actually called Castle Rock. It's very Casterly Rock.
Huh.
Plus, after the Scots...
Did you construct Edinburgh Castle? How do you know all this?
I did the documentary. Yeah. Just watched. So I lay claim to building it. Actually, I did visit it as a little kid. I was like 5, so I didn't know anything. But I sat on the cannon right next to the "Don't sit on the cannon" sign. That's the one famous picture of me on it. Okay, but so the other thing is, the English took the castle, and then the Scots took it back not by force,
but by dragon.
By infiltrating it, because one of the former residents, kind of like, this is like Tyrion going through the sewers at Castle Rock. He used to sneak out over the wall to go to the village to meet up with his woman. And so he knew like the secret way to get over the wall. And so at night, like 30 of them went over the wall, killed some guys, opened the doors, boom, they took it back. So it was kind of that thing. Also, the Red Wedding, their version of the Red Wedding was at Edinburgh Castle, the Black Dinner, where they invited...
So then how does the show end?
Yeah, good point. Well, Edinburgh's still a working garrison. I guess
next step.
it just kept going. I don't know. But,
You have to find this.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're interested in some of the inspirations, Edinburgh Castle definitely inspired Martin's version of the castles and the Red Wedding, for instance. So the Lannisters.
You know that he wrote and lived in Chicago? Was a teacher at Northwestern?
I did not know that.
Yes.
We are in Chicago, by the way,
in Chicago.
FYI.
George R. R. Martin was a professor at Northwestern University and lived in Evanston while he was writing like the first 2 or something of the books.
I could have written fantasy stuff for him, and he could have given me Fs, and then I could have been like,
Exactly.
I got a grade from.
You could carry that around with pride, but no.
Nope, I missed out.
You did.
All right.
Yeah.
Oops. All right. Any final thoughts? Are we good?
I'm looking forward to the weird interaction again between Arya and Sansa, and hopefully Arya just.
Yeah, I think Littlefinger. This was the last Littlefinger episode. Maybe then. Here's something to watch. If they indeed kill Littlefinger, look for, do they do it in public, or do they do it in private? Because if they do it in private, I have a feeling next season we could see the same actor come back as Arya wearing Littlefinger's face. If they do it in public, like public execution, then no.
No, that would be great. If Arya can get rid of Littlefinger and then Sansa could grow up, maybe this can all happen by the next episode. And if Jon and Dany could find out that they're related and stop flirting with each other and maybe help each other find significant others. Yeah. And if Jaime can realize that Cersei's just a man trapping him.
I do think this is going to happen.
A pregnancy.
I think Jaime leaves. I don't think he kills Cersei this episode. She's got to be in season 8. But I think he's going to set on it because he's going to say the war against these zombies is real. Mm-hmm. He's going to realize she's like, no, it's not. And then he's going to be like, screw you.
Yeah, I meant to say that. I had the same thought that Cersei's going to say no. He's going to be convinced because Jaime believes everything Tyrion tells him because Tyrion's the smart one. And then he's going to grab an army and head out. Yep. So I do feel like they're going to split. They're screaming and throwing things and acting a fool.
She'll be like, you're on.
Mm-hmm. Betray me again and I'll kill you. And then she'll start planning things.
Good point. He's about to betray her.
Yeah, he's going to betray her again.
So they're going to be
put at odds. Betray crazy people like that.
You can betray them by burning their toast.
Yeah, she gives them ultimatums all the time. Yeah. Everything is an ultimatum with her. It's if you don't do this, then I'm going to rip your tongue out. If you don't have sex with me, cousin, then I'm going to, I don't know. All the things that she does, it's always by ultimatum. Yeah. That's why I don't see her winning this game. Because what ultimatum is there for her to give to Dany? Chicks got dragons.
It's also interesting, they've played up, in my opinion, the fundamental difference between the Starks and the Lannisters in this season in particular, where the Starks are big on don't ask your people to do anything you wouldn't do, right? It's that whole thing of the man who declares a sentence swings a sword. Right. Jon's like, I'm going north, I'm going to do this.
Right. He cannot go without.
He's a hands-on ruler. Mm-hmm. And Cersei is like, Jaime's like, maybe we shouldn't tell people that we're having sex. Nah, we're fine. And who are we going to say is the dad of the baby? Yeah.
You are brother, father.
So she's like, I exploit the fact that the lion doesn't care what the sheep thinks.
Exactly.
Right?
So she's now going to just be this open, wild, and ignorant person who does whatever she wants. And because she thinks she can get away with it.
But it is so. I mean, the Starks, their version of that motto would be the lion should definitely care what the sheep think. I mean, because they're so anyway. It just shows the different philosophies of those houses. But next week, season finale, 80 minutes long. It's almost practically a movie.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. So get ready for a lot to happen, and we will be here to talk about it. So thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Subscribe. Hit the likey button. Comment. We'll make comments back. Bye now.